appears the good old days of test driving minivans and average go-getters have been replaced with a little bit more neck-snapping fun, a little bit of competition, you could say, from 0 to 60, most notably coming from BMW. This week being no different. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now behind me is the 2022 BMW M4 Competition, and with it came, of course, some 0 to 60 fun, but that exterior pizzazz and something you might refer to as, well, carbon fiber. Before we dive into the function of this vehicle, let's talk about the form. Pretty much goes without noting. One glance at this, you can pretty much drool at first look. Now, what you're going to see first is the exterior color. Really, a lot of people turned heads and they said the actual in-person look of this vehicle certainly is more tangible than what you see on paper. Really nice, drastic exterior color. This being Isle of Man green, contrasting quite considerably the interior color, which is an orange leather seating with black accents. The other big note is the touches of carbon fiber, most notably across the roofline and outer accents here and there. The other place you're going to notice it is in the carbon seating, literally forming around the driver and front passengers to a rigid-like level. If you need a little bit more plushness, well, that's not going to be the M Competition. That's going to be more of the Grand Coupe-like plush-like feel. So pick one or the other, because this one definitely meant for racing. The artistic impression, the form of the exterior definitely draws attention, but it's the function of this vehicle, and for the first time, the equipping of the X-Drive to the M3 and the M4's competition models. That means you're going to get additional traction, will enable the 470 foot-pounds of torque to be used at a greater extent during both acceleration and dynamic driving. So what that basically means is the fully variable rear bias system distributes torque between the front and rear axles via an electronically controlled multi-plate clutch. An active M differential takes care of torque distribution at the rear axle. Torque is directed to the rear wheels during normal driving, providing the classic rear-wheel drive experience. Only when additional traction is required is torque sent to the front axle. Both the M X-Drive and Active M differentials are connected directly to the dynamic stability control systems, ensuring quicker responses in improving agility in controlling both understeer and oversteer. The transfer case also features a unique control unit and integrated traction control. This enables it to compensate for any differences in rotational speed between the front and rear wheels quickly without having to involve the central DSC computer. This results in enhanced all-wheel drive performance in highly dynamic driving situations, such as powering through corners in controlled drifts. The M's X-Drive system also offers a choice of 3 driving modes: the 4-wheel drive, the default setting with rear-wheel drive bias torque distribution focused on traction and precisely controlled handling. 4-wheel drive Sport directs greater percentage of torque to the rear during dynamic driving and is designed to work particularly well on track environments. 2-wheel drive requires DCS to be turned off and affords experienced drivers a pure rear-wheel drive experience without any system intervention. The improvements in traction, handling stability, and agility translates to improved acceleration in both competition models of the M3 and M4. This means 0 to 60 from the standstill gets there in around about 3.4 seconds, or about 0.4 seconds quicker than the rear-wheel drive counterparts. Also, depending on the specifications, the top speed is 155 miles per hour or 180 miles per hour. To be expected, nice forged light alloy wheels at the 4 corners. Specifically in the front, you're going to see 275 35s wrapping a 19-inch wheel. At the back, 285 30s wrapping a 20-inch. Now, by the numbers, how does this coupe measure up? Overall, you're looking at about 189 inches. Wheelbase fairly stretched at 112. As for width, around about 82 inches with the mirrors extended out. Once they tuck in, you can shave off a few inches, maybe about a half a foot. As for ground clearance, it's going to be skimming the road at around about 4.8 inches. This aggressive front end on the M4 series is all about operational flow of the air, either into the engine or around this vehicle. And while the traditional coupes have menacing, grimacing, and tucking front ends, this one you could argue is a little bit more blunt force trauma, specifically with these vertically stacked kidney-shaped grills, which is arguably more turned horizontal on other models. What you also see is just the gobbling of air. Obviously right here through the middle and even in this lower fascia. Nothing is just about looking pretty and maybe be a facade. everything is operational. Even sweep around to the side with the air tucking through here. And obviously the competition emblazoned there on the front, just like the back end. Of course, what lies beneath the hood, specifically a 3.0 liter twin turboed 6-cylinder engine. That's going to deliver that 503 horses and 479 foot-pounds of torque. And of course, all that 0 to 60 numbers we talked about earlier. But lastly, it's all about that neck snapping fun and the growl that comes forth with this engine there at the quad pipes. Certainly wakes up the neighbors early morning or at night, or pretty much anytime you just want to tap the gas and let them know you're there. What I like about the M4 is it does have a docile approach on a daily drive. Going from point A to B isn't always a rumbling affair like you'd expect with those quad pipes. Those are there on demand, giving that rumble only when appropriate. Otherwise, this vehicle blends in quite well. Now, it's not going to kind of get confused with the likes of Toyota Corolla or even a minivan, but it can be a nice daily driver. However, should you need to, let's say, meander through traffic a little quicker, well, on-demand approach is there when you need it. Just simply tap the gas and forget about it. Now, the M4 isn't all about brawn. It does have some brain, and one big feature I like is sitting right here behind the wheel. No, not in the form of all the paddle shifters, but some driver fatigue preventative measures. What I'm referring to is this little simple button here on the cruise control has those lanes and the steering wheel, implying kind of an autonomous like feel. Now, it's not truly autonomous. Take your hands off the wheel. Certainly it's going to keep you in the lane, but inevitably it's going to give you that orange warning to put your hands back on. What this ultimately does in general is on those long stints when you're on the open road, this just allows you to kind of focus on the road, and there's just going to be a little bit of input in steering, helping you maintain your lane. And as always, that's going to help just prevent any fatigue and keep your awareness more on what's in front of you without having those minute details of being a little too close to this side or a little too close to that. This is just the next step of adding driver enhancement. All in, this vehicle is priced in around about $95,000. Starting price about $78,000. The extras include, well, the interior you see here, as well as these carbon design seating. That's running about $3,800 by itself, as well as the executive package and the driver assist pro package. Each one of those averaging a few $1,000, a couple thousand extra bucks here and there. That definitely adds to the bottom line. But at the end of the day, this vehicle really delivers across the board when it comes to the fit and trim, BMW style, the luxury. Now, again, this isn't the voluptuous feel like you're going to find in the good old 7 Series, big old sedans. This one designed really to have that neck brace quality, meaning when you get out, you're probably going to need a neck brace because of all the neck snapping fun. But where this vehicle shines, and once you get off the beaten path like we're here, is basically putting in the sport mode and, well, just hammering it down and testing out those 0 to 60 numbers. Now, the one thing I found with the track mode is that it really just doesn't work for me. I'm not really hammering it correctly, and it's wanting that paddle shifter engagement to be expected. Now, what I'm wanting to switch to and try out better is just the good old standard sport mode. Now, what that really allows me to do is just pretty much grip and go. Now, one little function I did find is the setup mode, and that's going to take you to another screen that shows you the engine, what it's going to be set at, either efficient, sport, or sport plus. You can go down the chassis, going from comfort, sport, and sport plus, as well as the same for steering and braking. Now, I didn't have those set, in my opinion, correctly. They were off to the left in the comfort mode, and that's really not going to give you that kind of great G-force feel I'm looking for. So now I've got it in sport mode, not that extra track mode, and I've got my settings where I need them. So now let's just see how bad this boy will respond. Now, on paper, around about 12 cubic feet for the coupe. For the M3 sedan, clicks up just a hair, around about 13 cubic feet. But where it begins is this cavernous area that awaits you. But, well, before you even get in there, look way down low. Those quad pipes we talked about earlier, really throaty and giving that growl there at the back end. Now, this thing does have a behavior button. Basically, press it right there. It calms it down and maybe fits in with the light of a Toyota Corolla. But where it starts for that outing I had with the golf course is simply here at the back. Couple of options, the button here at the back, or just simply electronic release right here. To be expected, well, not really, a powered rear trunk, because it is just so arduous to lift this up out of the way. As you can tell, a set of golf clubs swung in here with ease. Typically, this is a 2+2 design, so a foursome isn't going to be in this car anyway, so this can hold another set of clubs. As you can tell, the second row does have some expandability for the trunk, and maneuvering a bigger trunk is pretty easy. You don't have to reach way inside, but instead these nice simple releases on either side, just simply pull right here, it will unlock, and then just maybe a little bit of push and tumble will get it to lay flat. Just as quick as it goes up, it can go down, and making life so much simpler. Now, also making life simpler is ingress into any type of luxury vehicle, keeping the key in your pocket and pretty much never having to interact with it. Now, when you lock this vehicle up, I like the fact that it gets a little bit of smaller imprint in the world, making scratches and dings so much, well, less attractive and not as easy to do. What you're going to find for innovation is right here, the door handle. Just simply slide your hand in, unlocks with ease, and just simply open up. As you walk away, press on that little kind of textured area and the vehicle locks up. Pilot or co-pilot position is pretty much where anybody wants to be here on the M4 Competition, but when it comes to backseat drivers, they're not going to get the raw end of the deal because legroom numbers are not that bad. Now, what you're going to find up front is around about 41 inches, but that's going to handle any 6-foot+ frame with ease. But anyone that's a little bit shorter will have the ability to slide these front seats forward just a hair, really accommodating backseat drivers a little bit better. Now, first off, to get back there, what I like is a single tug here will allow that front seat to simply slide forward in one fell swoop. That does actually give you quite a big swath of room to slide into this 2+2 design. Now, when it comes to legroom numbers, first off, around about 34 inches on paper for backseat drivers. But again, as front seat drivers are more accommodating, that'll equate to maybe around about 35, 36 inches. Not too shabby, and just enough room to be comfortable. For any newcomer like myself, one area to get used to was the carbon design to the front seats, basically the overall rigidness that goes along with it versus the luxurious feel you expect in kind of a BMW, more of a sedan. Instead of plushness, you're going to find a little bit more rigidity, specifically right through the middle. Here on the outer side, this is a very rigid material. Of course, a little bit of padding here as well, but where the true saddle-like feel is down in the lower section. This requiring you to kind of slide over, and you could say the proverbial saddle horn right here in the middle. But the overall function is meant to keep you in place, specifically when you hit that, well, track speed. Mirroring the competition we drove just a couple weeks ago, the interior feels like a twin image, everything having the same overall functionality that we're used to. So just a quick snapshot, obviously a huge, nice touchscreen system high up on the dash. It does have a central control knob, or you can kind of scroll through it. That's not really intuitive as much as this is just a traditional kind of multifunctional toggling through. What you're going to find down below, dual cup holders that can be hidden again under this nice carbon fiber like trim you're going to find around this vehicle. Gives you an overall nice sleek design. If you need to, you can tuck your phone up in here. It does have the wireless charging that allows you to kind of go wireless and no cabling needed in this vehicle. You do have USB connection there when you need it, but the best part about it is connect your phone up Bluetooth, tuck it away, and less distracted driving, because where you want to look is of course 10 and 2 and straight ahead. Even though this is a coupe, BMW delivers with dual zones up front. Even better is taking it to the next level with specific mode selects for either occupant on either side, picking your specific vent choice and temperature. As for fan speed, that seems to be a universal select for everyone inside. Swinging down, like we tested on the recent other competition, is you do have the Steptronic automatic transmission. Real easy to select, just simply push over and up for reverse, and you can take it back down and over for drive. Obviously, if you want to go kind of with that clutch like feel, just tap it one more time, and you do have a multiple choices for shifting. Either shift with the traditional gear shifter, or on the paddle shifters. Again, down shift on the left, up shift on the right, and the M1 and M2 type of paddle shifting. Don't forget, you do have the rev selection here in 3 different modes. As you go up, it's going to increase your rev point, making your shifts a little bit different each step of the way. For true enthusiasts, you could argue that they'd rather have an analog gauge cluster, but digital readout to me is just where we're headed, and certainly BMW delivers with this full LCD display for everything you need right there at a glance. Now, of course, you do have heads-up display as well. Now, when you go through the various driving modes, you just simply select that between the front occupants and just scroll right through, and gives you all the various driving looks depending on what mode you're in. That does for this edition. We're awarding a test drive behind the wheel of the 2022 BMW M4 Competition. You give you one step ahead of the traffic and getting you from point A to B, whether it be for the 18 holes or taking this vehicle out on the track, because after all, this X-Drive system really delivers that extra level of handling, but keeps the all-wheel drive system to a minimum for the true enthusiasts. Those who want the pure rear-wheel drive sensation, it gives you the best of all worlds. Now, I'd like to thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.